As the 2022-23 NBA season gets closer, the basketball world is buzzing. The reigning champion Golden State Warriors are sitting on the throne, but there are a lot of teams that want to take their place. Not only that, not at all. Think about what the Los Angeles Clippers and the Denver Nuggets could do if they were healthy. In this video, we're going to rank some of the best sleeper teams for the year. First off, what is the current status for the teams? Let's do a quick recap. After losing in the finals, the Boston Celtics picked up Malcolm Brogdon to help them get back on track. The Philadelphia 76ers brought in some of James Harden and Joel Embiid's old teammates to play with them, and the Milwaukee Bucks look like they could be a powerhouse, and they might stay that way for the rest of Giannis Antetokounmpo's career. But we've got questions, starting with what's going to happen to the Brooklyn Nets now that they won't blow up. Along with Donovan Mitchell on their team, the Cleveland Cavaliers could really make a lot of noise. After setting a franchise record with 64 wins, the Phoenix Suns should keep going strong. Everyone's talking about all of these teams, but they aren't the only ones who could change the story of next season. Okay, so maybe the following 5 clubs, ranked based on how much and how big of a chance they have to surprise, might not be getting much attention right now. Don't underestimate them though, because they've got a solid chance to surprise. Up next, the New Orleans Pelicans. This season, the West could go to the New Orleans Pelicans. No, that's not the most likely thing to happen, but if you don't think it's at least a possibility, you haven't paid enough attention to the Big Easy. Zion Williamson missed the whole season because he had to have surgery on his foot, but New Orleans had other plans. After starting the season 3-16, the Pelicans went 33-30 for the rest of the year and had the 10th best net rating once CJ McCollum joined the team. They won 2 play-in games to earn a spot in the playoffs. Then in the first round, they took the top-seeded Phoenix Suns to 6 games. Again, none of this was because of Williamson. Willie Green, a first-year coach, was in charge of everything. With Williamson looking like he's ready to go and Green set to build on a good start, it's not impossible for New Orleans to get to the top. They just need a leader, and Williamson, if he's healthy, has everything he needs to be that leader. Now, he's about to team up with Ingram and McCollum, who last season scored an average of 116.9 points per 100 possessions over 386 minutes. These 3 will be surrounded by well-chosen players who are big, fast, athletic, can make shots, and play tough defense. Oh, and if there's something missing from this team, the front office has the trading chips to make up for it, followed by Dallas Mavericks. Wait, didn't the Mavericks just get to the finals of a conference? How could they possibly be sleepers now, just a few months later? Okay, so we weren't too happy with their offseason since they didn't bother to replace Jalen Brunson, and their success in the playoffs wasn't at all expected. The 4th-seeded Mavericks won all 7 of the games in the second round, and their win over the top-seeded Phoenix Suns was often portrayed as a loss for Phoenix rather than a win for Dallas. The reasons the Mavericks are called sleepers is that they could be scary good but aren't thought of that way. Christian Wood was a good pickup, and his ability to act as a pick-and-roll screener could make him a better fit with Luka Doncic than Brunson was. Jaden Hardy was a good dart to throw on draft night, even if it might take a while for that bet to pay off. But Donnie's the real key to this. He's a basketball magician who might have got more tricks up his sleeve. He's only the 4th player in NBA history to score 6,000 points, have 2,000 assists, and get 2,000 rebounds in his first 4 seasons. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, told Taylor R's Rooks that Doncic is working on an insane shot. This means that one of the hardest to guard players in the game could become even harder to handle in the future. Moving on to the Toronto Raptors. No, the Raptors didn't get Kevin Durant or spend a lot on a new starting center, but maybe they didn't need to. Already, Toronto's team looks like it's got a lot of talent, and that's before taking into account all of the ways that players can improve and grow on their own. With head coach Nick Nurse calling the shots and president of basketball operations Masai Ujiri always ready to pounce on any missing puzzle pieces, there might be a sleeping dragon just north of the border. If Toronto plans its leap years well enough, it could be one of the 5 best teams in its conference by the end of the season. Barnes has very few weaknesses for a 21-year-old. He was the Rookie of the Year last year. If you give him a steady 3-ball, the game might be over. But don't forget about OG Anunoby, who could be like Kawhi Leonard and is always getting better. In 2 of the last 3 seasons, Pascal Siakam has been named to the All-NBA team. Fred VanVleet has some of the best statistics of any player in the league who isn't an All-Star. Toronto might not have a top-tier superstar right now, but it could have a few All-Stars and a few other players who could be in that conversation. You might be surprised if the Raptors made it to the conference finals, but you shouldn't be shocked. Next, Atlanta Hawks. Usually, if a team traded 3 first-round picks and a pick swap Now, for a young all-star, there would be way too much talk about it even to come close to being a sleeper. But the Hawks signing of DeJounte Murray might be an exception to that rule, since it happened the same summer that the Utah Jazz went out of business and the Brooklyn Nets were almost wiped out. There are some hopes for Atlanta, but nothing too big. Vegas put the over-under at just 45.5 wins. That would be a good season, but the Hawks could pull off much more. Remember that this team was in the Eastern Conference Finals just a year ago. The Hawks have also added players like Murray, Justin Holiday, Frank Kaminsky, Maurice Harkless, and A.J. Griffin, who was the first pick in the draft. Don't forget that Onyeka Okongwu could also play a big part. Atlanta's offseason was all about defense, since that's where most of the new players are best. It was also where the Hawks needed the most help. Even though their offense was the second best in the league last year, they couldn't get above average because their defense was ranked 26th. So it made sense to trade for Murray. Well, that and his ability to take some of the offensive load off of Young could make both players better at what they do. Atlanta might find the two-way balance it needs to make another run to the conference finals, but only if they find their chemistry early and the defense gets into the middle of the rankings for how well it plays. Finally, the Portland Trail Blazers. Even though the Blazers had 55 losses last season, most of the damage they did was their own fault. With a projected lottery pick on the line and a few chances to shine in the playoff, they gave up early, traded away C.J. McCollum, and shut down their best players to tank. Portland's got a chance to forget about its ugly second half and race back up the Western Conference ladder, only after keeping the number 7 overall pick and investing it in the very interesting Shaedon Sharpe. The good news starts with the return of a healthy Damian Lillard, who spent the last 2 seasons vying for the title of the best offensive player on the planet. For some background, only 11 players have ever averaged 29 points and 7 assists in a single season. Jeremy Grant, a tall, athletic wing player who can play as anything from a 3-and-D player to a star scorer, is Lillard's new running mate. Also, Portland brought in Gary Payton II, who may be the best backcourt defender in the association. And don't forget that Anthony Simmons and Yusuf Nurki are both coming back. Both of them can change the outcome of games on their own. If Sharpe, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, Greg Brown III, and Trendon Watford get the right amount of development magic from Portland, this supporting cast could be very good. Even in the best case, the Blazers probably won't be able to win the championship, but they could definitely make the team in the conference semifinals sweat a lot. And on that note, we'll wrap up this video. Which of these teams do you think will perform the best or has the best odds in their favor? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.